Hey, what's going on? My name is Brian Bauer, and today we are back with Ric Galvez, aka Malice Divine. It's his second time on the show, and there's a whole good reason for that because it's a second album. So you might as well just introduce yourself and start talking about it because that's how we do this.
Guys, I'm Rick from Malice Divine. So yes, I have the second Malice Divine album, Everlasting Ascendancy, coming out on Friday, January 27th. Once again released independently, and once again recorded at Monolith Productions with myself doing guitars, vocals, and bass.
And your drummer is Gowan's. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Dylan Gowan on session drums, yeah.
Yeah, Dylan Gowan. Yes. I've never met Dylan. I've had the odd chat with him. He seems like a very nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
I covered his dad's song, and I seriously hope one day that one of them listens to it. But now I'm kind of like, meh, because the production could be better. But I still love that recording. I still love the idea.
You can send it to him anyways, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to bug the guy too much.
Not to be bugging the guy, you know, just like, hey, check it out if you feel like it. If not, no worries, Not a big deal.
Exactly. It's like, I'll just be like, you did awesome drums on the Malice Divine records. It's just, all right.
Records now, so it's a plural.
Yeah, it's true. There's 2 records, which is wicked. Rick, how long did it take you to actually make that second Malice Divine record? When did it start?
Well, if you want to be really technical about it, it actually goes back to 2014. And the reason why I say that is because one of the songs on the second album was written in 2014, and then another song was written actually in 2015. So there's 2 very old songs on the new album out of the 8 tracks on it. Although other than that, I really started putting it together early 2021, or actually no, even more late 2020. I was starting to stockpile a bunch of riffs. Because we were still in the pandemic, so I still had a bunch of time to play guitar and write riffs. So I wrote a shit ton of riffs, in 2020 and into 2021. And then, I spent the last part of 2020 and well into 2021 writing the remaining 6 songs on the album. So by the end of 2021, I was ready to book studio time. So I booked studio time for exactly a year ago, actually, January 2022. And then recorded it from January to May of last year. And then a couple months for mixing, and then got mastered shortly after that. Which I believe it got mastered, last August. And then just ever since then, I've just been saving up, just so I can release it the way that I want it, with CDs and money for advertising and stuff like that, and for merchandise too. That's how I want to release it. So yeah, it's coming out now in a couple days.
Exactly. So by the time this video makes it out in the world, which we're gonna put out as quick as we can, that album is gonna be out, and I've already heard it because I'm a cool insider at this point with underground black metal in Canada from Ontario, and And I've listened to that album a few times, and man, it was really cool. You also have a playthrough out for Silenced Judgment, so you can already check that playthrough out. So that's, I'm talking as if if it's not out. It's all out, but you definitely check out that guitar playthrough. Also edited by our buddy Daryl V, if I'm not correct.
No, Daryl V actually edited another playthrough video that's yet to come out. For one of the unreleased songs on the album. It's actually track 2 on the album, right after Silence Judgment. So he did the editing for that playthrough video, which isn't out yet. It's on my YouTube channel, unlisted, but it's not it hasn't been made public yet. I had another guy edit the Silence Judgment playthrough, but yeah, Daryl V, he edited the playthrough for track 2 off of the upcoming album called Apparitions of Conquest.
Okay, right on. Okay, I messed that up, but no
worries, man.
So actually, one of the things of this podcast is me and Rick have actually met in person. Me, him, and Daryl hung out last summer. If you guys don't know Daryl, I'll put his links below as well. Awesome guy, and we all met up in downtown Toronto, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun day, actually.
That was a good day. It was a weird day because it was hot and cold all in one for Toronto. It was kind of strange.
Well, Toronto, and even just Ontario in general, is weird like that. It was hot and cold, back and forth all the fucking time.
Yeah, and all that cold weather inspired the second Malice Divine record. It's funny. I wonder how many people expect a black metal musician to be this, dead kind of guy. But you're actually a really upbeat guy. Boils down to it. At least to me.
Yeah, I am. I'm definitely like, not like the stereotypical like serious all the time, like pissed off, all the time, stereotypical like black metal musician,
Yeah.
My personality is actually almost like kind of like borderline the opposite of that.
Yeah. Speaking of, I don't know, I think pissed off individuals. But when he was younger, I think of Ishan. I think is how you say his name, of Emperor.
Ishan from Emperor. Yeah.
Now, am I correct? But the actual logo for Malice Divine is done by the same guy who designed the Emperor logo.
Yeah. Christoph Spazjadel. I don't think I pronounced his last name properly, but anyways, yeah, he also did the Emperor logo back in the early 90s, and then yeah, I got him to do the Malice Divine logo too.
Which is super, super cool to say that. I should really pay for a logo one of these days too. My bills are absolutely hateful at the moment. Not hateful, but yeah, it's lower on the priority list of things to do right at the moment. So either way, so we have this album release coming out. Are you ever thinking of doing an actual music video for any of the songs at any point, or just playthroughs?
I would love to do an actual music video, but the reason why I haven't done one yet is strictly just because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple, So I'll see what my budget and finances are like by album 3. I think by then I should have like, a big enough following where like, a music video would actually be worth it. So yeah, like I was actually even considering doing like a music video for the second album, but like, honestly, it was already a struggle enough as it is, just to get the funds, to get CDs and merch printed, and then, getting money, for the advertising and stuff like that. Because I run like, ads on like Facebook and Instagram. And then I also do some magazine, advertising every once in a while too.
That's right, because you were in, what was it? Was the one last year? Decibel?
Yeah, I was in Decibel magazine, and then I was also in Power Play. It's a magazine from the UK.
Oh, I don't know that one. That's cool though, man. It's really good. And okay, so this gets me into the topic of when it comes to your music and promotion. How do you actually start going about promoting something? Like you obviously talked about Facebook, and that's one, and then getting into those magazines. How do you think that the magazines worked out maybe compared to Facebook?
Yeah, that's a good question, because like the magazines are really cool and all, but like the downside of them is that it's like really hard to like measure like your return on investment. Like I guess like this magazines is really good just for just like building just like general like brand awareness and just getting like eyeballs, on your brand or your product. But like at the end of the day, like it's like I said, it's pretty difficult to measure, the return on investment of that. But as far as like, getting like to promotion and stuff like that, I really always started off, at least the first 2 albums so far, I started off with hiring PR actually. So for these 2 albums, I've been working with Asher Media. He's a PR agent out of Montreal. So I've been working with him for the 2 albums. So by working with him, he was able to get me hooked up with like interviews, album reviews, and of course, premieres on like, different websites, like No Clean Singing or Brave Words. And then I think for the first one, he got me a premiere on Gear Gods for the single Triumph and Return from the first album. So yeah, just really helps, a lot with like, just getting your brand out there and getting your name out there, PR. Yeah. And then also the advertising, on Instagram and Facebook, and then the ads. So essentially, as far as like the promotion, I try to like, hit it from like as many angles as I possibly can, given, like my financial limitations.
Yep.
So I would say like that's my promotional strategy, like in a nutshell. It's like, try to like diversify it, as much as I can.
Yeah, man. That's one thing like I always wonder with promoting on Facebook. Like I've tried it in the past with things, and it seems to do okay. The problem I always have with Facebook is the second that you're not paying for that promotion is that you don't get any views anymore.
Yeah, like, well, you still get views, but like it's nowhere near like, you know, like what it could be. And of course, you know, if you want to get like a lot of views, you have to pay like, you know, even more.
Yeah,
You know, so
and
it all depends like down to like how much you're willing to put into, you know, the Facebook ads or Instagram ads. You know, but like so far, like, you know, it actually has helped me, you know, like, you know, I was able to reach, you know, people all over the world, you know, that actually ended up liking my music. And for the past week now, I've actually been running some Instagram ads. And as a result of that, like, I've had, like, my Instagram follower account, like, go up by, like, at least 120 in just the past week.
That's really cool. Pretty
damn good, actually.
Do you think that, I mean, I don't know how everything works and what demographics are where, but what it always seems like to me is that like older people are on Facebook, but is there like a bigger black metal community kicking around on Facebook, or should you really be focused on working on something like Instagram?
I don't know. I think like, you know, there's definitely quite a bit of both, because like I've typed in, you know, like black metal related stuff into the search bar on Facebook, and I've came across plenty of stuff, and then I've looked up, you know, black metal related hashtags on Instagram, you know, found plenty of stuff. And like, yeah, like Facebook definitely does have like a slightly older demographic just because, you know, it's been around for like almost 2 decades now, right? And then Instagram, you know, is still a bit newer, at least compared to Facebook, about a decade now, I believe, or a little bit more than that. A slightly like younger demographic. So I say like actually like Facebook and Instagram have both been actually really good, you know, for finding people that are like into, you know, extreme metal music. Yeah, they both helped me out a lot.
Do you get to choose hashtags for that one when you do that?
Oh, like for running Facebook and Instagram ads?
Yeah.
Well, like you don't really actually like add in like hashtags. You actually add in like interests and locations.
Okay, right on. And do you just do worldwide, or are you trying to choose Europe, North America?
Well, like so far I've been like going off of by like, you know, what I've noticed like on my Spotify for artist page. So I can go into like, you know, the listener section, see, you know, like which countries in the world, you know, has like, you know, the highest amount of listeners. So I'll usually like base off of that. So at the moment I've been targeting like Canada, the USA, Germany, Sweden, Finland, the UK, let's see what else, Belgium, Netherlands, Spain, Italy, France, and I believe Brazil and Mexico on Facebook too.
Oh yeah, you need to.
So
get
I've been selecting certain countries as well as like certain interests. So for the interests, like I would actually type in, you know, like bands that like I'm certain that like, you know, people that like these bands would like my music too.
Oh yeah.
So I do that, and I also type in genres too. So I typed in, you know, like black metal, death metal, melodic death metal, thrash metal, extreme metal. You know, so I've been doing that. You know, just like the interests and like the countries and also the ages too.
Okay, yeah. I wonder, do 18-year-olds get into this stuff, or do you kind of go for a slightly older demographic, or do you go like 18 to 45 or something? Or
actually, like I've been aiming like 18 to 52.
Okay.
Because the good thing about metal, because I think there's definitely plenty of different demographics, at least as far as age is concerned, that like are into it. You know, because like obviously metal has been around for so many decades now, and it's still going very fucking strong well into the 2020s, you know, so like so for this kind of music I could hit like different ages ranges from like 18 up to like, you know, people in their 50s.
Yeah. Early 50s, you know, people would be right in that range too. People,
yeah, like that's like people like that are like born in like, you know, the early to mid 70s, you know.
Yeah,
or so, early 70s now, you know.
In that case, it would work, but it's like going for like 65 plus probably isn't gonna fly. They'd be like, "That's not the Beatles, Rick."
Yeah, I think anything at this point, anything past like, you know, the early 50s for people is like not something I'm gonna aim for. So like,
Yep.
Late teens to like late 40s / early 50s is like my target like age group.
I keep forgetting that I'm getting older too. I'm not 20 anymore. So the people who are now, in their early 50s a lot of them are metalheads and they're into that kind of stuff. So
yeah, because they were like our age, like, like in the 90s and the 2000s.
Exactly that. Rick, since we were talking about promotion and all that stuff, are you on TikTok?
Actually, yeah, I'm glad you asked me that because I recently actually created a Malice Divine TikTok. I've kind of been slacking off it a little bit lately because I've been having some trouble with getting the audio to stick in the videos. Because like I uploaded actually the Silence Judgment playthrough video to TikTok, and then like a minute or two later, like the audio got removed from the video because of a copyright. And it's like, this is my fucking song. Like, why the fuck are you doing this?
Yeah, I understand that 100%. That's happened to Dragon Force and different bands too. They'd post something on Twitch and like, you can't use that music, that's copyright. It's like, it's my band.
Yeah, it's like, I fucking wrote that song. I have every right to fucking post on TikTok.
Yeah. It's just usually like, it's the anomaly. It's usually not how it works for the majority of people. I was just curious about that. Like TikTok's not something that I've ever got into, and I'm like, okay, so who's using this and what's good, bad, and ugly about it? But I hear some good things about promotion, and the thing is that's where a lot of the eyes are these days, where Facebook's one demographic.
Like with TikTok, like it seems to be like predominantly like a younger demographic, like teens and people in their 20s. Some people in their 30s too, but like overall mostly younger. So like I decided to get on TikTok because I think like that would be like a good platform to potentially get reach like people that are also like in the younger range of like my target age group.
Yep.
Like more I can reach like more younger metalheads that are like in their teens or 20s.
They say the algorithm there is really good at picking up on what you like, so
yeah, that's actually also another reason why I decided to on TikTok. So like it'll be a really like hopefully a good way to like reach people that are actually really into this kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as we stop removing my songs from the videos.
Yeah, exactly.
If it can stop doing that, then I think TikTok will work out.
I think at that point it could work out. I don't know. I should maybe give it a shot myself. I just don't want more social media. The one thing, like I've been staying off Facebook for the most part, come in to give you your links and whatnot. But man, just cleans up the mental clout of all the fighting and stuff. Maybe TikTok's not so much like that. Maybe TikTok has more interesting stuff. You just need to have a Malice Divine dance to whatever song there if you're choosing. You just gotta start a trend. That's all you gotta do. So my question is for you on the album right now. What are some of your favorite standout tracks? I think.
Definitely one of the standout tracks. Another standout track for me is the song Apparitions of Conquest, which is actually the song that Daryl V he edited the playthrough for. So that's also another really good song. Definitely another standout track on that. Other than that, I think, let's see what else. Track 3, Usurping the Paragon, is really good. Track 5 I really like, Parasitic Demons.
Yes.
And then also track 7, Illusions of Fragmentation, like that one quite a bit too. That has some really awesome guitar solos in that one.
I can't remember if it's number 6 or 7 or 5, but there's an intro in there, and I was trying to get that written down before I did this podcast, and I couldn't get to it because the link's unlisted now. It said it's a premiere, so either way, by this point, the album link is below.
Like, how did the song go?
Oh man, I can't even begin to. Me humming that's gonna just sound like it's different, but it caught my ear. And that's
like,
one
was
thing.
it the one that had like it had the classical guitar intro, and then during the second repetition had the guitar solo over it?
No, not that one. But that I want to say it was probably.
It was. I think it might have been the one after that where it was like the classical guitar intro, and then it went to like kind of like a behemoth style like riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Track 7, Illusions of Fragmentation.
Yes.
That's one
of my favorites.
And the
last track, Everlasting Ascendancy, I think actually ends that album on a banger. I'm just like, man, that's pretty cool. It starts off strong and it ends strong. It doesn't have like this album is like one thing that you got really right with the album, and this is what a lot of people. I mean, no, I won't say everybody. But they'll start with some big epic ambient intro. It goes on for like however long. And then you have this track, but it takes too long to get into it. And you just like went straight in with Silence to Judgment.
Yeah, like I definitely wanted to start off this album like that. Because with the first album, like I had the 2-minute instrumental Somnium Lucidus to kick off that one. Which was still a highly musical instrumental too, you know, like.
Oh, yeah.
Had like the first like 15 or whatever seconds of classical guitar and then just went like right into it, you know, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like for me, like I'm not really a big fan of like, you know, the like 2-minute or whatever, you know, like atmospheric intros that aren't really anything. Just like a bunch of ambience. You know, if you're gonna have like an instrumental like opener, like at least have it like, you know, musical. You know, something that like, you know, you want to actually listen to. And I think it worked out because Somnium Lucidus, like the opening track, the opening instrumental from the first album, is actually like one of the highest streamed songs on Spotify.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, which is almost like unheard of for like album intros, you know.
It's either because it's the first track there, or just something that just people clicked with. It's just how it goes sometimes. What you think what's gonna happen, it doesn't always happen the way you think it is. Hey, that's super cool. Whatever, as long as they're listening to your
as long
music,
as they fucking like it, that's all that matters. You know,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Now the next question I have here is, how do you go about writing a song? How do you start? How do you start a song? Do you just mess around on guitar, or do you have an idea in your head, or whatever?
That's a great question. Well, it always starts with a riff, like a guitar riff. You know, so like over a period of time, you know, I'll write like a bunch of riffs, you know, record it on my phone or my computer, and then I'll go back, you know, and I'll like, you know, listen to all of them that I did, all of the ones I recorded. I'll see, you know, which ones, you know, fit with each other, you know, like if there's any, you know, similarities like in tempo or key or like a certain scale that are in, you know, then, or just a general vibe, you know, if anything, you know, it fits together, you know, then I'll start to piece together, you know, like riffs and like, you know, different ideas together until like I have like a song structure. And then like the song structure will essentially just be like, you know, the riffs in order, you know, from beginning to end. So like, you know, the intro, verse, chorus, pre-chorus if there is one, you know, like the middle section, guitar solos, outro, stuff like that. I'll have like the structure down from start to finish with the riffs. And then from there, I'll actually start working on the drum parts. So I'll write the drum parts actually in Guitar Pro after I've tabbed out the structure of the guitar riffs in Guitar Pro 2. So I'll have like an idea in my mind of like what kind of drums I want, and then I'll just like type it into Guitar Pro, and then once I have a solid foundation from there, I can quickly put in like, you know, the bass. You know, like a lot of the time it is, you know, pretty much playing like the root notes, but sometimes I do deviate from that a little bit on the bass, you know, do something a little bit more creative. But since like it's such fast, energetic, you know, like guitar-based music, you know, there's not really a whole lot of room for, you know, the bass to do a lot of like lead stuff. Although on the song Illusions of Fragmentation, track 7 from the new album, there's actually a bass solo on that. That's the first time I've ever done something like that, so that was really cool. You know, it was like one of the slower sections of a song.
Yep.
So I was able to do something more creative with the bass there, so that was really cool. But for the most part, the bass is like, you know, following like the root notes of like what the guitar is doing. So I usually write the bass so that like, you know, fits, you know, perfectly with both the drums and the guitar. So And then from there, I got the rhythm guitar, the bass, and the drums down. So then I'll write, usually simultaneously, like the guitar solos and the vocal patterns and lyrics. So like I'll have like an idea in my head of like how I want the rhythm, the vocals to go, and then I'll like record like a rough like little demo like on my cell phone of like growling different like syllables of like how I want the rhythm to be, and then from there like I'll fit in the words of like the topic of the song like to like the rhythm that I've written, and I'll settle on like what like riffs or what sections of a song I want guitar solos over, and then I'll sit down and then I'll analyze like what the chords are doing like, and I'll think about like what different scales or note choices or arpeggios I can incorporate into that and like also get like a good idea of like how I want the solo to progress from beginning to end. Like I'll have like a good idea of like how I want the arc of a solo to be, essentially.
And the guitar solos, they come last over everything else, or do you have that kind of done before vocals or after? Or I mean like in the writing process, maybe not necessarily the recording process.
I'd say it depends on the song, because sometimes like I'll be struggling a little bit more if like what to do for a guitar solo, or I'll be struggling a little bit more what to do of like a certain vocal pattern. So I guess it really depends on like what's coming the easiest, because that way I can get like a really good ball going and I can keep going with the momentum. So I'll usually go with like what's providing me like the least amount of resistance, because it helps just keep the momentum going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, for people who are watching this album, these kind of things take a long time to learn and a long time to write. Songwriting's hard as hell sometimes. And so my next question is, when you did this album, every song on this album is good. Like it's a very consistent album. Some albums people write, like if you got like an ADD brain like me, it could be all over the place. And one thing I always really like the focus of certain albums. Signals by Rush. I always think that's a super focused album and stuff too. You have that kind of focus with these albums, especially this one. This one ramps it up, I think, a little bit.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I definitely like ramped up the focus a little bit more. The first one was still focused, but I think this one is like, I think like another notch. Like.
Yes, absolutely. So the next question for you is, out of all the songs you've got written on there, did you write any more and trash any? Did you get rid of any songs for this album? Do you have anything that you had demoed and you're just like, nah, this doesn't work?
Actually, yeah, there was, I was working on a potential 9th song actually for this album, but like the other 8 songs were coming along great, and I was just hitting a brick wall with like this 9th song where I wasn't really, like happy with like how it was coming along. So I was like, fuck it. Like, with these other 8 songs, that's still like 53 minutes of music. That's still like definitely enough for a full-length album. So at that point, I was like, screw this 9th song. I'm just going to focus on these other 8 and make them the best I possibly can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you did a standout job of doing that one for sure. Now, here's this more of an opinion question. Now, this is what I'm thinking, but like, so we have a 53-minute album. So we're still thinking from the album context. And I think for the type of music that you do, this works because it's a metal album. It's for metal people. So if you're into pop and that's the only thing you're like, probably not the album for you, but for the metal
definitely
guys,
not.
Say what?
Definitely not. If you only like pop, then yeah, this is definitely not the album for you. That's for sure.
It sounds bad. I'm like, yeah. Now let's list all the people this is not for. Anybody that has the name that ends with Y. No, that's not what I'm trying to say there. But one of the things I've noticed with some bands who are really kind of popping off now, and this is like I shouldn't even bring up names to compare. I noticed they're writing shorter songs. All these bands, like they're like playing heavier music, not necessarily black metal, but they're writing shorter songs. And does that It's that got something. I know that has a lot to do with the attention spans of people, and I think that it works. And I mean, it probably also comes back to that old crust punk and all that kind of stuff, where the songs were just super short. But is this something that a black metal musician thinks about, or something, or is it just something that you're just like, we're gonna write the best black metal record we can the way it's supposed to be, and just say, hey, this is my art, and screw it? Because I swear some bands do the opposite.
Well, for me, it's very much about like the artistic vision first. You know, like I'm definitely not the type of songwriter that's like, you know, concerned about, you know, writing, you know, mostly or all short songs, you know, because, you know, that's what people like, or, you know, that's what's gonna get like the most streams or whatever. You know, I just, you know, write the songs and I just let them come out, you know, as natural as possible. I give them the amount of time that the song needs to say what they have to say. You know, sometimes, you know, it ends up being a shorter song, sometimes it ends up being a longer one. Like, for example, like the first single, Silence Judgment, that song is only 4 minutes and 10 seconds, so that's the shortest song on the album. But like, that's all I needed. You know, I didn't need any more than that. Whereas, you know, like some of the longer songs, you know, like Everlasting Ascendancy, or Illusions of Fragmentation, which is track 7, Apparitions of Conquest, you know, it just seemed like of songs like that, like there was definitely a lot more room, you know, for exploration, you know, and also room for deviation from, like, you know, the opening themes of the song, you know. So just certain songs, you know, call for different things, you know, and I let them, you know, run the length that we need to, and sometimes they end up being shorter, sometimes they end up being longer.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, you know, like, there's great songs of all sorts of lengths, you know.
Exactly.
So there's great songs that are like, you know, 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever. You know, there's songs that are great that are like 8 minutes or even way longer, you know. So
okay, here's a question for you, on plan question. For music that you listen to, what's a band you think that writes long songs that never get boring? And I mean, like, I don't mean like 5 minutes. I mean like 9 to 12 minutes, like up that, like, you know, let's say over the 6-minute mark. What's a band that you think that really knocks that out of the park?
Well, the first one that comes to mind immediately is Opeth, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, because they have like just the amount of dynamics that you need to really pull it off. You know, there's also like plenty of like extreme metal bands too that do like quite longer songs. Like, for example, like there's the death metal band Vital Remains, who do like plenty of songs that are like, you know, into the 7-8 minute range, you know, and we're pretty much just like a straight up death metal band, you know. Yep. But for them, you know, this one, at least for me, like it doesn't keep me as, you know, like engaged, you know, throughout the entire duration, because, you know, there's not really enough dynamics to really justify it. It was just like straight up like blasting, you know, and just like, you know, brutality for like, you know, 8 minutes straight, you know, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
You know, but like Opeth is definitely one band that definitely does that really fucking well. I'd say even Enslaved too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know
from Norway, they do it really well. Let's see what else. There's the band Agalok from the States.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they
we're
got
not around.
The elk on the album.
Yeah, the mantle.
Yeah.
Like, they do longer songs pretty well. Unfortunately, we're not around anymore, but they do longer songs quite well. Also, another one is Edge of Sandy, actually, from Sweden.
Oh yeah, I've listened to them recently.
Yeah, Edge of Sandy is fucking awesome. So yeah, they do it really well.
I can definitely name one for you. Have you ever heard of Alkaloid?
Yeah, I have. For tech death band from Germany, right?
Yeah, like I don't know exactly where they're all from. It's like Danny Tunker, Christian from Obscura.
Yeah.
And he was in Necrophagist at one point, if anybody remembers the infamous Necrophagist.
Yeah, they just literally vanished.
Yeah, well, that's because Mohammed Shushamez is like an engineer for BMW or something. I don't know if that's old information or not. Well, there's just not as much money in death metal. I think that guy was smart to begin with. Yeah, Alkaloid, I think they're a standout band. If there's any band that I think is wicked, I think they're gonna have a third album soon. But their first album was called the Mal. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Something Grimoire. They had their first song was called Carbon Phrases, and it was 9 minutes. It's like, how did they manage to write this song? It's like it never really wavered in boringness. And their end song was 12 minutes. It was called Funeral for a Continent. And that was cool. And they were like a mix of like, they were kind of like tech death, but they were a mix of other things going on there too. Because Danny was mostly in death metal bands, but the singer was from black metal bands. They were like a kind of an eccentric mix, and there's some strange music on that one, but I think they really knock long songs out of the park. And if there's any other super amazing, super long song, and I know this is your least favorite metal genre, but power metal.
I told you that before on Instagram, but
yeah,
I'm not really a big power metal fan.
Highlander by Lost Horizon. It's like 12 minutes. It's like, man, that song is epic, though. I love power metal.
Yeah, like, I like some Blind Guardian.
Oh, yeah, they're cool.
That's about it. Like, but even then, like, a lot of Blind Guardian stuff is a little bit too sounding for me.
I like Blind Guardian a lot, actually. Like, I think they're really cool, but I'm quite into my power metal and all that stuff. So, back to other topics related to Malice Divine. You used to be in another band called Astroth Incarnate. Did I pronounce that correctly? And
yeah, you are.
One of the things is that now Malice Divine is a solo project. Everything is you, and Dylan is a hired drummer and whatnot. So what are some of the pros and cons of being in a band versus being a solo artist?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think we were also even talking about that. Well, definitely more creative control for sure. You know, so that's definitely a huge pro. You know, like, I can work on my own timeline, so, you know, I don't have to worry about, you know, like, other people, you know, like, you know, not being able to keep up with me, you know, or any other musician in the band, you know, not being able to keep up with other people, you know, like, if they're not into it or whatever, you know. And I can just strictly pursue, like, my own vision, really, you know, so I don't have to worry about, you know, like, anybody else in the band I'm in, like, you know, not liking, you know, like, something that I write, you know, or like a direction a song's going in, because, you know, as long as I like it, you know, that's all that matters, you know, because it's my solo project at the end of the day. So it's like, I don't have to worry about, you know, pleasing other people, you know, as long as I like what I'm doing, you know, that's all that matters. So that's a huge pro. As far as cons, you know, it's obviously like a much bigger workload, you know, definitely a much bigger workload, but for me, it's really not like a big deal or anything, because, you know, I love what I do, honestly, you know, like, I love, you know, all the different aspects of it, so, like, you know, it's definitely a labor of love for sure for me, you know, so it's definitely a so-called con that I can live with, you know, it's really not that big of a deal to me. I've gotten definitely used to it for sure. As far as being in a band, like, I guess a pro for being in a band is, like, you can play live more often. You know, like, I haven't been able to play live with Malice Divine yet, and I really want to. You know, like, I've been trying to get a live lineup together, but unfortunately I haven't really had much luck, you know, keeping, you know, like, a lineup of musicians together for numerous different reasons, you know. It's been very tough of that, you know, so that's, like, the only one thing regarding being solo that I found to be really challenging is, you know, is getting, like, you know, a strong lineup of, like, you know, backing musicians to play these songs live with, you know. But overall, you know, I'm really, really liking being a solo artist. You know, I'm really happy I've gone down this path.
Speaking of playing live, I mean, that's the thing for me. You don't really want to just show up with an iPod and plugging it in all the time, although people do, and I think in certain senses that it works, but you want the full live band experience with the feeling of the kick drums and just you know, the push and pull of the other musicians and stuff. And have you ever considered doing a live stream?
A live stream?
Yeah.
I've thought of doing, like, a live stream, like, where, like, I'm just, like, playing along to, like, you know, the recorded tracks, you know, like, on my own, you know. I've considered doing that for sure. I think that'd actually be really cool, you know. I've definitely had that idea in my mind, but I haven't gotten around to, like, seriously, like, going down, like, that path yet, you know. But it definitely has crossed my mind a few times, so I think I probably will do that in the future.
It's one of those things I need to get back at doing. I've had nothing but technical issues doing it, and it just wasn't to the quality that I would want it to be. so I never ended up really doing it as much as I would like to. You know who did decent live streams? That was Daryl V. He used to do a few live streams once in a while, and he did really awesome with it, playing along with his tracks.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. He did that actually quite often, you know, like I think like in 2021, I think it was. He was doing that like a lot.
Yeah. And I even have a stream thing here, and it works great with an iPad stuff, but once I went streaming, I still don't know what happened, but everything got choppy and weird, and it's like, if I can't do this in the way that's going to sound good, I don't want to pursue it. And it's something I need to really sit there and figure out the technical aspects of that again, but I think it'd be also a cool thing to do. Not something you have to do like all the time, but once in a while be kind of a cool thing for you to do, like especially if you could have it set up where you could do like the vocals and the guitars or something for some songs, just hanging out or something, even if it was like a half hour. I think that would be super cool. That's just my thoughts on that.
One thing I just thought of right now is I think like if you're to do that like in a form of like an Instagram live, you know, through, you know, the stories on Instagram, I think you can actually get away with it being, you know, a little bit more raw, you know, because it's like, you know, just like a temporary thing, but it's like on the story for like 24 hours. Actually, no, I think even Instagram live, I think it's actually just like after it's done, it's done.
Yeah, you have an option when you're done, you can download it, you can do different things.
Yeah.
You should really just fire up a camera audio one. I used to have fun doing that, just play some covers and mess around with things. But I tried to do higher quality, and it's just, man, my phone fell and everything last time, and I need to go back to doing that. It's been a while, and I need to be like, okay, let's just get over this. Let's go live. Might only play to like 3 people, but it would be fun.
Like when I was thinking of like doing like, you know, the live streams, like that was actually my specific idea, was like doing like, you know, like an Instagram live, you know, in the story function, so that way, you know, like it could be, you know, like relatively raw, you know, and, you know, it'll still be, you know, acceptable, you know, it'll still be really cool to see and listen to, you know. So and I think that also really worked well for the type of music I do, because, you know, it's pretty abrasive and raw music too, you know. So
just remember those old black metal recordings, the old Emperor and stuff, or Windeer. Did you listen to Windeer? Yeah,
Windeer was a great band.
Yeah, that's all like lo-fi. But Emperor, to me, like some of that sounded like holy crap. And I remember you're so used to like, you know, cleaner productions. I wouldn't say all metal was, but if you use that and you hear Emperor recording, it's like, what the hell am I listening to? This is just, it is straight up abrasive. And
yeah, you know, especially if like, you know, like a lot of underground black metal, like if you go like really deep into it, especially like the older stuff, you know, from like, you know, like the late 80s into the 90s, you know, like a lot of it is like really fucking raw. You know, we're like, it's like some stuff where at first like I just didn't like it because I couldn't hear what was going on.
Yep.
But and that, oddly enough, that actually ended up growing on.
You know, that's one of the things that with Emperor, when I first heard Emperor, I didn't care for them because I was like, what the hell am I listening to? And then I heard them do I Am the Black Wizards live at Vulcan. It's like, holy crap, this is actually so good when you can hear what's actually happening. And they were such a good live band. I'm pretty sure they didn't play with a metronome because it sounds raw. It's like there's like that back and forth a little bit. They had the singer of Leprous on keys at the time. I think he still does. Yeah. I don't know if Leprous was even a band at that point, but he was at the time he was like a long-haired dude. You know Leprous?
I know of them, but like I don't really know much about them. I've never really checked out their music.
So I've
heard the name.
I'm pretty sure it's his wife's nephew or something, or I don't know if that make any sense. I don't know. It's some relative of Ishan's, the singer. But anyway, it was like through his wife. And he was, I didn't know at the time, that was the guy he was the keyboard player in Emperor Live. And he did all these like almost power metal sounding vocals in the background for certain songs. And when they end Inua Satana, which is a song that you'll definitely know, he has this like, whoa! It's just like, man, that sounded like he just like comes up behind Ishan, like, and like the vocals. I'm like, man, that sounds sick. Like, to me, that was just like Wicked Emperor playing.
Yeah, because they definitely did have some pretty sick, clean vocal parts, you know, which is really cool.
I mean, Ishan's a good, clean vocal singer anyway. Did you like his solo project?
Not really that. Well, some of it was pretty good, but like a lot of the songs wasn't too big on, especially the more ballady stuff he was doing in a solo project. I didn't really like it. Some of the heavier songs were good, but like, yeah, he's also a really good clean singer too. Like, did you hear Merciful Fate's cover of Gypsy by Merciful Fate?
No, I never have.
Yeah, check that out. Like, that's a fantastic cover, actually.
Okay,
Yeah, they
I
covered,
like King
Merciful
Diamond.
Fate's song.
I'm assuming you like
Yeah.
King Diamond as well.
Yeah, I do. I like Merciful Fate a little bit more though, but yeah, I do like King Diamond as well. But yeah, Emperor did a really good cover of Merciful Fate, so definitely check that out.
I never knew that. I'll have to check that one out now. Now I'm curious because that would be really wicked. Do you have your phone near you?
Yeah, I do. I turned it off though, so like I wouldn't like have any notifications going off during this.
Okay, I was just gonna play the game. Remember, I asked if you use Spotify. I have a thing where I go over people's top 5 and their on repeat playlists. See how embarrassing their playlists are.
Okay. I can check. Like, I just have to turn on my phone.
Yeah, that's totally cool. I can go over mine first because mine's gonna be the most cringe for if anybody's made it this far in the video. Cringe for if you're in here for extreme metal, because I don't think anything in this is extreme at all, and I have to explain why one or two of them are there. So my first one, because we're waiting for his phone, is Jaws by Sleep Token. Have you ever checked that band out?
Sleep Token. I've never listened to Sleep Token.
Okay, they're definitely a weird band. I don't know, like they're metal, but there are a lot of things. I've been really enjoying them. I think it's just because I wanted something fresh to listen to, and they just knock it out of the park for me. So the second one's actually a Paramore song. I know nothing about Paramore. It's because I've been jamming on it because there's a jam coming up with like other band members, and I had to learn the song, and so I go through the playlist every day. So then that's the first song on the playlist when I'm jamming to the music. So otherwise, I can't name a second Paramore song. I know like nothing about them.
I can't name a single Paramore song.
Say what?
I can't name a single Paramore song.
I'm not surprised for some reason. The second one is the same thing, although this was my idea to learn this one, was Almost Easy by Avenged Sevenfold. I'm sounding like a basic metalhead right now because a lot of my music that I listen to was used to be like way more obscure, and some of this is like not obscure at all. It's like I've become,
no worries, dude. I'm not judging.
I've become cringe. I don't care. I mean, I'm wearing the shark hat, which is awesome. So I don't. You know what? Like I've just come to the point. Like, you know what? People don't like it. Too bad. I just do whatever. This here's another one. I liked some pop punk and that kind of stuff when I was younger. One that came up again, which really I haven't listened to it much. I must have just went back.
Well,
and listened to it
I like some punk music actually as well. You know, like I like stuff like, you know, Misfits and Black Flag, Dead Kennedys. You know, I'm not like super. I don't know Bad Religion that well.
Okay,
but some stuff I heard was pretty good. Like, I haven't gotten like as deep into punk, you know, as I have into metal, but like there definitely are, you know, like punk bands that I do like as well.
That's cool. My fourth song is the plot bomb plot to bomb the Panhandle by A Day to Remembers. That's where I come in there. I think they're an awesome band. They're fun. They know they're not metal. And the other one is Dark Signs by Sleep Token. So now I'm curious to hear what somebody who writes black metal is listening to. It's all black metal.
Yeah, only just a raw black metal. Okay, so where on Spotify did I go to find this?
You gotta find on repeat.
On repeat?
Yeah, I use my on repeat playlist, and then I end up hearing the same Queensryche song like 10 times over.
I don't know where that would be, to be honest.
I don't know. How did you find it? It's like would it be under Made for You? That's a good question. Mine always just comes up.
Playlists?
If I type in on repeat. Yeah, type in on repeat in the search bar and it'll say Made for You.
On repeat. Okay, I'm typing it.
And it comes up, says like Made for You. Yeah.
Nothing came up. Actually, hold on. So, I see you recommended for you today. I don't think that's what you mean.
No, it's just called On Repeat.
I see your top mixes.
Okay.
Okay, so I got Lord Belial mix. So it has bands such as Lord Belial, Destroyer 666, Dark Funeral, Inquisition, Satyricon, Bathory. Let's see what else. Archgoat, Marduk.
These are bands. Some of them I haven't even heard of.
Shooter. Yeah, Archgoat is fucking awesome. You should check them out. Archgoat kicks ass. Angel Corpse, they're also another really good bands. Yeah, and like you're literally right. It's like either like all like black metal or black into death metal.
Oh man, let's see what some of my top mixes are, because let's see. I have a J-pop mix, which is I've been listening to this weird Japanese band called Nigami 17th Birthday, and they're like Japanese like neo funk or something. And let me tell you something about that band. I can't understand the lyrics. The videos are basically you can't understand them. They get weirder and weirder as you get going. It's like, okay, there's a groove here. Their bass player is sick. I don't care. The bass in that music is awesome. What's the other one? I have a 2000s mix, and it's Amon and Marth, Alexis on Fire, the same thing that's jamming on that I've talked about. Children of Bodom. Yeah, Evergrey. Is that a band you know?
Yeah, I know of them. I never really checked them out, but I've definitely heard the name a bunch of times. Oh, I have a Ghost mix, actually.
Oh, yeah. Ghost is wicked.
Yeah, Ghost is actually... Like, a lot of people, like, rip on them, but actually, I like Ghost quite a bit. Like, I don't even care what anybody says. I like Ghost.
People rip on Ghost, and I don't understand why. They're like thinking it's going to be like this extreme metal band, and they're like, wait, it's not that, so it can't be good. It's like, no, they're awesome. Did they ever try to be a metal band? They looked evil, and people can say whatever they want. I think they're wicked. They have a groove to them, so...
Yeah, and they have, great, catchy, like, melodic songs, like... Obviously, I love extreme metal, but like it's not all that I listen to. Like I like some non-extreme stuff, like like Ghost. So like in the Ghost mix, I have Ghost, Motorhead, Slayer, Bathory again, which is interesting. Megadeth, Sepultura, Obituary, In Flames, Creator, Dimmu Borgir, Slayer, Deicide.
You pronounce it wrong. It's Dimmu Burger.
Demon Burger.
Yeah, if you watch Metalocalypse, you'd understand.
Yeah, there's actually some surprising stuff in here for the Ghost mix, like Deicide and Slayer and stuff like that.
Their Spotify algorithms all made for you, so it's probably like you're gonna like Deicide. Problem is when you start jamming on certain songs, but you don't listen to them. I don't actually listen to the Paramore song on my own at all. But then it's like, oh, you like Paramore, but it doesn't realize I'm literally just jamming on this to go play something else afterwards. It doesn't know what you're doing with it.
It doesn't understand like the deeper context behind it, Yeah. We're just looking at just like the raw data,
Exactly. I'm surprised Slayer doesn't come. I think when I listen to Slayer, it's because it's files on my own computer. Because then I'll just start jamming on Slayer. I'll grab a guitar that's tuned to that and tune to E flat, and just jam on some Seasons and stuff like that. There's a
Seasons and Abyss. That's a great album.
That is a great album. You know what? There's a few good songs though on their first one, "Die by the Sword" and "Black Magic."
Oh yeah, "Sword No Mercy" is a fucking awesome album. I still think that's actually one of their best albums, to be honest.
Exactly. Well, Rick, I think we had an awesome podcast today. You have an awesome album. It's called Everlasting Ascendancy. And everybody who's watched this video should definitely check it out, because the links for all that are below, as well as Rick's Instagram. I'm also going to link Daryl there, because we've been talking about Daryl in this video, and he's a friend of ours and just an overall outstanding dude and all that fun stuff. So in the YouTube world, I have to tell people to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. You can say what your favorite track on the album is, or whatever your favorite extreme metal is, because hey, all those bands probably still need the promotion, even if they're showing up on Spotify a little bit. Because let's put it this way, I don't know who Archgoat is, so now I have a new band to check out at work tomorrow.
Yeah, you do. Archgoat is a fucking killer band.
Yeah, so now I know what I got to check out. So at this point, by the time the video's out, I should know at least one Archgoat album.
Yeah, man.
I've got to hold myself to that and all that stuff, because otherwise I'll just go back to the tech death that I listen to when I go to extreme stuff. And you don't listen to Tech Death, do you?
Oh yeah, I like some tech death.
Oh,
you know,
wicked.
like,
No, see, I'm trying to end it now, bring it back. Yeah.
There's definitely a little bits of an influence on that. You know, like, I like Obscura. You know, I like Necrophagist, to lesser extent Archspire. Also, I really like First Fragment quite a bit.
Yes, First Fragment's awesome.
Actually, I saw them live in October.
Oh, nice.
And they were fucking sick.
Yeah.
They killed it.
I've met Forrest.
Yeah. Who else? This band's more like technical death thrash, but I really like Revocation a lot too.
Oh yeah, Revocation's cool.
a great band.
And the band on my shirt's pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, Inferi's pretty cool too.
Inferi, exactly. They're wicked. All right, now we're finally into this. I think we got this one long enough. You all have an awesome day. Check out Malice Divine's second and first albums, which is super cool. Because you still gotta listen to the first one, right? You can push the second one, but you gotta go back to the first anyway.
Yeah, the first one's still a banger too, you know? Like it's still worthy of listening to.
Exactly. All right. Everybody have an awesome day, and I will see you guys all in one of the next podcasts coming up and next ridiculous videos or whatever it is that I'm doing. So you got some new music to check out, everybody, and I'll see you all later. Peace.